Well, brethren, here's another video showing reasonable faith, William Lane Craig. And even though he professes to be a Christian, and his explanation of certainty in this video clip is astoundingly bad, and his reasoning is stupidity on a stick. I mean, a person who professes to be a Christian is going to fall into this fallacy trap of denying certainty of having any relation to truth. Yes, I said that because that's what he is saying in this video clip. See it for yourself. Don't take my word for it. William Lane Craig is wrong. And I will show you in my refutation of this video.
It's important to understand that certainty is just a psychological property or state. It's just the property of being firmly convinced of something. And as such, certainty is really unrelated to truth. You can be absolutely certain about something that turns out to be false. When my son was 17 years old, he had this problem a lot. "Trust me, Dad," he'd say, and then it would turn out to be wrong. So certainty isn't any guarantee of truth. And similarly, doubt and uncertainty is no indication of error. There can be certain truths, like, say, a complex mathematical equation, which is necessarily true, and yet we're not certain we've done the calculation right. We're not free of any doubt that this might be the case.
Certainty is necessary. It's amazing that a man who believes in truth and reality will deny the necessity of certainty. Now I will go through each of his statements necessary of refutation. But first we need to define terms. By the way, as stated many times before, we do think in language. So the quality of our thinking can only be as good as the words restructure them in. He denies certainty having any relation to truth. This is false. He's necessitating a difference that doesn't exist. Then he's confusing apparent certainty with actual certainty. When somebody says, apparently, it's usually judging on the surface or based on the appearance of quick glance. It's not the conclusion after all the facts are presented. Being actual is narrowing down to the facts themselves and then drawing a conclusion. One is an opinion, apparent, and the other is based on fact, actual. Summary definitions from Webster's 1828. Certainty. A fixed real state of truth and fact. This gives full assurance of the mind is settled. Reality. Actual existence of anything, truth, and fact. Opposite of appearance. Truth. Exact accordance to fact and reality. That which is honest virtue and exactness to rule. If certainty is the fixed state of truth and fact, and if reality is the actual existence of that truth or fact, then truth is dependent on certainty and reality existing. Because without certainty, we don't know what truth is, because truth is in accordance to fact and reality, in exactness. And reality is having certainty of the actual existence of that truth and fact. Truth loses all necessity of existing without the reality of having certainty of its existence. All three of these important elements coexist with each other and are dependent on each other for even purpose to exist. In previous studies I revealed how to identify what a fact actually is. A fact is based on three things: the evidence, witnesses, and reality, personal observation. Now that I've explained this, I will get into refuting his statements.
It's important to understand that certainty is just a psychological property or state. It's just the property of being firmly convinced of something.
There's nothing psychological about it. It's not just a simple convincing of the mind. Certainty. A fixed real state of truth and fact. This gives full assurance of the mind is settled. Certainty exists because we can have the confidence of knowing what reality is because reality reveals truth. And as we experience reality, we also experience truth. Can I be certain of reality, personal observation, that reveals truth? Yes. Is it all just in my mind and I cannot know for certain what reality is that reveals truth? No. If that's the case, then we can't trust anything we directly observe with the five senses. And as such, we can have no confidence in what we observe, say, or even think. Therefore, without certainty, logic cannot exist or function, because reality is the art of correct reasoning and thinking. The only way to correctly reason and think is by three things: facts, reality, and probability. He's too wordy in his explanations. This causes more confusion by him stating that certainty is just a psychological state.
And as such, certainty is really unrelated to truth. You can be absolutely certain about something that turns out to be false. When my son was 17 years old, he had this problem a lot. Trust me, Dad, he'd say, and then it would turn out to be wrong.
Right here, he's confusing actual certainty with apparent certainty. Certainty is related to truth because, as explained in the introduction, without certainty, truth cannot be identified. Truth is based on facts and reality. To eliminate certainty is to eliminate reality of personal observation because truth cannot be identified without certainty and reality working together. It is true that you can be absolutely certain about something, and yet it be false. But that's based on apparent certainty that has no foundation of truth with it. You might convince yourself that something is certainly true, but that's only based on opinion and ignorance. Sure, sincerity may be the cause of your conclusion, but that doesn't make you right. And just because you say something is certain or absolute, that doesn't make you correct. You have to know exactly what is certain and then make your claimed conclusion based on that. Many people, myself included, have made the mistake of using words like absolute and certain and so on. But it was based on ignorance because I didn't know all the facts about the subject. It is irresponsible, immature, and wrong for someone to include those words in a claimed conclusion that's really based on ignorance. For example, if somebody were to claim that 1 + 1 = 3, is there any way we can know if this is true or not? Yes. This is how logic works. Again, logic functions with facts, reality, and probability. Also, logic functions with consistency. Facts, evidence, witnesses, and reality, personal observation. Evidence, given mathematical equation, 1 + 1 = 3. Is this correct? Witnesses. Can others verify this equation is correct? No. They can do a simple scientific experiment to prove it's not true. The concept of mathematics is to understand the quantity of a noun, person, place, or thing. For example, 2 apples on a table. 1 apple with another apple will equal 2 apples, not 3. 3 would be the quantity of 3 apples, not 2. Reality. Can I verify this is correct? Yes, by doing the same scientific experiment. The witnesses agree, my personal observation agrees, therefore the fact is the mathematical equation of 1 + 1 = 3 is wrong. Completing the logical steps, the probability of this fantasized formula being correct is very improbable because it cannot be factually proven and there's no evidence that it could even be probable. Therefore, can I be certain that 1 + 1 = 3 is wrong? Yes, because wrong is an absolute conclusion, not an opinion. Do you see how by using logic to disprove this mathematical formula certainty is now established? Is this actual certainty or apparent certainty? It's actual certainty.
So, certainty isn't any guarantee of truth, and similarly, doubt and uncertainty is no indication of error.
Yes, it is. Look at the definitions again. All three depend upon each other for facts to exist and work. Establishing a fact, as I have just displayed, gives the guarantee of something being certainly true. Facts always are a guarantee of certainty. And by the opposite, doubt and uncertainty establishes the other. We can know by logical doubt and uncertainty that something is not true. Again, going back to the fantasy formula of 1 + 1 = 3. I am doubtful and uncertain that it's correct because it can be logically proven by established fact and certainty that it's not correct. Therefore, I am certain and absolute in having doubt of the truthfulness of that fantasy equation.
There can be certain truths, like, say, a complex mathematical equation, which is necessarily true, and yet we're not certain we've done the calculation right. We're not free of any doubt that this might be the case.
Here, he contradicts himself. If they're going to be certain truths like a mathematical complex equation, then how can you say that it's important to understand that certainty is just a psychological property or state? If it's just something psychological of being convinced of something, then the concept of certain truths do not exist, nor can they exist. Because if it's all psychological, that I can't trust any of my thoughts because certainty cannot go beyond what I think. Certainty is the verification of the established proven logical facts. Certainty is the result of that. If certainty is just psychological, then there's no way a fact can be established because then you have to be certain of that fact established. It is true that there are many things that are facts, yet we haven't observed or discovered them yet. Until we prove them, they may be still facts, but we have not established them as facts yet. Until we establish something as a fact, we cannot be certain of it because certainty, once again, is the result of establishing a fact. All four of his statement claims are false and easily refutable. Certainty depends on logical facts and reality established. Without facts and reality, certainty cannot exist, nor be obtained. Part 2. Certainty in Scripture. Though the word certainty is found in Scripture, Joshua 23:13 know for a certainty that the Lord your God will no more drive out any of these nations from before you. They shall be snares and traps unto you, and scourges in your sides, and thorns in your eyes, until ye perish from off this good land which the Lord your God hath given you. Well, that's a lot to be certain of. 1 Samuel 23:23 See therefore, and take knowledge of all the lurking places where he hideth himself, and come ye again to me with the certainty. Saul could have certainty. Daniel 2:8 The king answered and said, I know of certainty that ye would gain the time, because ye see the thing is gone from me. A king can have certainty. Luke 1:4 That thou mightest know the certainty of those things, wherein thou hast been instructed. The reader can have certainty. Acts 22:30 On the morrow, because he would have known the certainty wherefore he was accused of the Jews, he loosed him from his bands, and commanded the chief priests and all their council to appear, and brought Paul down, and set him before them. Paul can have certainty. People have no problem with these passages. But they object to this, Proverbs 22:21 That I might make thee know the certainty of the words of truth, that thou mightest answer the words of truth to them that send unto thee. John 16:13, notice the phrase, he will guide you into all truth. John 18:38 Pilate saith unto him, What is truth? It's his words. Conclusion. So Israel, Saul, a king, the reader, and Paul can all have certainty. But I can't have certainty of the words of truth and exact words in my language? If you honestly believe that, then we worship two different gods. Your God can't give certainty of the words of truth and exact words in my language. He is the most stupid, idiotic, deceitful, moronic, lying scoundrel I've heard of in my life. You all want to worship a stupid, idiotic, deceitful, moronic, lying scoundrel? Wow, no wonder so many people become atheist and quit your cult. Certainty is necessary. William Lane Craig is wrong.